Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. So we are 3 days post-show from the Arnolds Classic in Ohio, and honestly it was such an experience, and I'm going to sit down and talk to you guys in another video about actually in this video to be fair, about my thoughts post-show and how I feel that I got on, and just explain to you everything that happened. But what we're going to do firstly is go and get our scans done from Adam at Team Elite Physique Prep Center, and then we're also going to sit down with Adam and talk about what we're going to do moving forwards with our reverse. So we're really taking this reversing thing seriously this time, because as I've said in previous videos before, I haven't taken it as seriously as I should have, and you know, it has cost me on stage with not bringing my best and all that type of thing, which is important. So we're going to make sure that we've got a good plan in place before I leave Vegas, and we know what we're working towards for the next time we step on stage, which will probably be the Olympia stage, which is exciting. So let's go get ourselves scanned.
Burning bright and early, thank God I'm worthy. Yeah, I'm up and clean, but I get down and dirty. Eyes on the prize, yeah, I'm too deserving. Eat the competition, put them up for serving.
Well, we have to take into account there's much different lighting in the night show, because it's an enclosed thing versus an open expo. So in the open expo, there's lighting everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
This one is only lights on you guys, so there's no balance light. So you're gonna always have more shadows. So that's gonna make you confused with looking a little harder because of that. You know, if it was the same stage morning and night, it'd be one thing, but it's the one on the left is an open expo where there's light everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's actually bad light too. It's fluorescent lights bouncing from the back, you know. They're huge, high lights, so there's no way to control those even with hard lights in front. And then the light in the right is purely controlled light with the audience being black. So there's no light on the audience at all. So what we need to look at is overall size and shape and everything, right? That's what's on this, because you're going to have more shadows for sure, so you don't get too confused by it.
Because I don't think my front shot's the issue, I think it's my back shot.
No, it's your back shot for sure, yeah. But I want to just look at the pictures, because we talked about the carbs. And what I can say is your waistline on the left is definitely smaller than on the right. You see? So the thickness of your waist versus here, I will say it's definitely smaller in the morning. If you look here on the lower oblique, so look at this lower oblique line here, the blurriness of the difference between the two. So this one is a little softer. If you look at that, if you look just here, so look just below the cliff of the oblique line, you see how it's more diminished here than it is here? The shadows are better, because you can even see down here on like on your lower leg, like it's really dark. That's because of the shadowing of the lights. But when you look at the detail itself, the detail's a little better here.
But I can, I just think I think my shape looks off in the morning. But I don't know if that's just me.
The morning Phoebe would be black, because you gotta understand it's not about the size. I would say, yeah, you're.
Because it's not my size. It's not my size. I think I'm tighter and have more detail. I know the lighting is different. I think
your waist is pretty small here.
Yeah, I think my waist. Yeah, my waist. I think so. My waist, I think, looks small in both. Yes, it looks smaller in the evening. In the morning.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like this, it's because I looked at it after you said that, and I was like, yeah, because after you asked me, you're like, do I look tighter? And I was like, yeah, at night. And then, but then I was like, oh, well, she was a lot more shadowed at night too, and that was quick. So I'm like, I want to see the pictures and like compare them. But the difference of the waistline was pretty significant. Yeah. Between the two. But it's just you have more food in you at that point. You know, your shoulders look a little, fuller at night for sure. But the details, the detail stuff is that's where you get hit, is the details right now. Yeah. It's really not anything else. You have everyone beat on size, shape.
Because I spoke to Attila, and she said the morning my details were shadowed or flattened out in the morning. And she said, so I spoke to Attila very, very quickly, briefly on the street, because I saw her randomly on the street. And she said, she was like, the annoying thing is she used the word still, which means she knows it hasn't improved, which kind of annoyed me. I was like, fuck. But she was like, you still look too flattened out. So remember when she saw me at Legions, and she said that I was flat then, she was like, you still look flattened out. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, your details just don't pop as much as what they could.
I wonder if there's a language barrier there, because you were definitely not flat. I mean, you were, if anything.
But what is the definition of flat? So my definition of flat isn't size, it's the pop, which is that's what I meant in the morning. You know, when I was like, the morning I felt flat, not meaning size, but like my pop wasn't there. Does that make sense?
Yes, let's go to that.
Because that's what I mean. So I don't know, flat isn't meaning size, because I know I'm bigger than everyone else. I'm like 20 pounds bigger than everyone else.
Well, that's the thing, like your pop, you know, your pop, and I'll show you here. This is where it became kind of, so when you were here, this is what happened here in the call outs. So you're here going over the show. So you're here in the call out, you're holding strong, you look great, and from the front you're killing it, and they're moving all around you, and you're staying there, you're holding down the spot. And I was like, sweet, she's holding down the spot, right? And then what happened was
we faced the back and walked to the back, and that's what I mean by movement within my glutes. It felt tighter.
When they moved, it was Lucia next to you. They didn't take a picture there, but they did. No. They had Lucia next to you. So you're holding down. Everyone moved around you. Lucia moved next to you, and then when you guys turned around, you know, she was just harder than you from the back, and then Alessia was next to you, and so you looked soft compared to those two, and that's really was it. It's just you have the littlest amount of body fat to still go on your glutes. Yeah. And that's when you started getting pushed out. From the front, you were fine. Yeah. I think that you would have held. I honestly think you would have held from the front. You would have held that middle spot. You probably would have got fit, to be honest, from the front. Because that's where I was like, oh, it looks like we're going to be able to do it and hold that fit spot. Because from the front, you're killing everyone. Yeah. Size, shape, balance. You know, I do think that sometimes there was a couple of times where I was like, her shape might be a little too muscular right now.
So I was listening to a few of the commentary. So obviously Janet was commentating, wasn't she? Yeah. And she said she's got a beautiful shape, like really nice structure and presentation. And I think Dennis commented and was like, yeah, she looks really, really good, blah, blah, blah. And then I think when I got moved out, Dennis kind of was like, what happened there? And Janet was like, she might be a little bit too athletic looking in terms of like size-wise. And then she mentioned conditioning in the lower body.
Conditioning in the lower, it was all conditioning lower body. You know, when I was seeing you here, and I was like, yeah, she's got enough shape, she's got enough roundness and fullness to probably sell that. But yeah, you do need to be a little bit tighter than that. And it's not much. We're talking probably, I mean, that's the last bit of fat for you to lose, you know? Yeah. But the level of, this would have worked easily 2 years ago. You would have killed every show. Yeah. But now it's this, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot harder.
And as soon as they turned you around, I was like, well, that's, yeah. It was when you were next to Lucy is where she kind of was like, okay, yeah, she needs to be harder. So when Itala says flat, I don't think she's meaning it in the way where she's like, you know, you don't have enough carbs reloaded, you don't have enough, it's obviously not enough muscle, because the problem is when judges say that, it means so many different things. But when you're saying you're not getting pop, the pop is being hidden because the curtain is still hiding the show. Yeah. In order for you to get to this level of conditioning, you know, we just needed a little bit more time, really. Yeah. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. I mean, the muscularity, everything's there. If anything, the one thing I'm really happy about seeing in this show is like, your muscle, looking at your muscularity compared to everyone else who's doing well, we had to basically stop right here. We can't get you any bigger. If anything, you might need to come down a hair. Yeah. Your legs. Well, I would like to see your legs.
My shoulders. I think my shoulders are the issue from the front, and my legs need to lean up more to have more detail. Because if you see Alessia's, like she has this nice like line down the side, versus I don't get like that as much.
Yeah, it was because you were holding. You had a lot of momentum until they turned you around. That's what happened. Lucia she brought that, and then you moved out, and then they moved you out again. And yeah, it's just that was it. I mean, that's really what it came down to. Because that's when the move happened, and as soon as that move happened, I was like, it's from the back. Yeah. You know, but from the front, you were holding down. I honestly think you were holding down that fit spot. I think you probably would have gotten it. It's just literally a tiny bit tighter here. You did everything you needed to do, everything you could do. Yeah. And it was just, you were asking a lot of your body. To get to that level of conditioning, you were asking a lot of your body at that time period, for that thing. There was nothing more you could have done. You literally killed yourself for this prep. Yeah. And, it just came down to the little bit of conditioning in those legs. Yeah. It's really what it is. Yeah, the shape is there. It's beautiful shape. I thought that on the shape alone, you'd be able to move up on that. But from the front, crushing it, I mean, from the front, you look tighter than Jourdain, and she got fit, Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's true. I didn't really see her from the back. Yeah, her tie-ins are just a little bit more complete, Yeah. In that bottom, lower part. And that's the bikini these days, It's just freaking crazy. Yeah,
it's just like, you really need to just dial it in. And I think for me, definitely lesson learned for reversing properly and just making sure that obviously we take, I take this part seriously as much as everything else, because it's been too many times now where I've just been like, not doing enough in the off season and then it becoming a task in Paris, which is, it's a shame because I think it kind of hit after I was like, yeah, cool, I've put in so much work, like hopefully I can get in that top spot. And then kind of when it happened, I was like, it's disappointing, because if I would have just, reversed a little bit better at those 5 weeks after my shows last year, we could have, gotten in top 5. But, I mean, you can't spend life, I guess, like saying what if all the time.
I don't want you to beat yourself up. I want you to understand that this is a lesson, part of the journey. What's the end goal? To win the Olympia, right?
Yeah.
So you played sports growing up?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you play sports, what's the goal of that sport? To win the championship, right?
Yeah.
So the games, they don't matter as much.
Yeah.
But the way you get to winning the championship is having good practice in the game, right? So this is just the game. This is just a game. That's all this is. It's a big game. Yeah. It's an important game against a good team, right? But it's just a game, and we take what we learned in this game and this loss, and we apply it to future games so we can learn how to win the championship. Because that's the only thing that matters in the end.
Yeah.
That's the end goal, and that's when it'll finally be complete. Yeah. So this is just a game amongst one of many other games that we're going to play to try to win the championship and better fine-tune our skills to win that championship. So we learned from this game. We got next to good people. We learned, okay, maybe we can't keep building muscle the way we're building. Maybe we got to slow down on that muscle building. Got to stop right about here. Yeah. We learned, okay, there's no messing around in the off season, unfortunately, anymore at this level. Yeah. You're gonna win. You're good enough where you're gonna win a show if you do 4 shows a year, messing around in the off season. But nobody's good enough to win an Olympia title messing around like that and going into the. I mean, maybe there's some crazy genetic person who could just falls off them, right? But it's super rare, and at this level, you got to understand, like, there's no room, there's no margin of error. We're splitting hairs here, with the best genetic freaks in the world, and we're splitting hairs, and so giving them that room to catch you is difficult. Is you're not gonna be able to make up that ground because they're not gonna give it back. No. So, but you're here now, you're lean now, you're in the right mindset now, and now we're in a better place to win the championship, which in the end might be the best thing that ever happened to you. Yeah. The worst thing that happened to you, honestly, is for you to have a bad off season like you did. You grind into the prep and you earn it, and then you win the Arnold, and you're like, I'll just do that again. Yeah. That would be the worst thing. It would be the worst lesson possible. So it's almost a good thing. I wish you would have got 5th or 6th. But in the end, it's like, I know you are going to beat yourself up about it, and I hate that you're going to beat yourself up about it. Yeah. Because I know you're going to be like, I know I could have gotten 5th here because I've beaten these girls before. Yeah. Like, so don't let that eat you up. Just let it be your motivation. Yeah. But remember, we're trying to win the championship. This is just one game. Yeah. This is one game of many games along a many string of games over a long career to get you one step closer to winning the championship. So it's just, and that's just the reality of things, Yeah.
So what do we, in plans in place, what do we need to do to reverse our things now? It's been 3 days post show. What do we do
so
from here?
We're going to start you with, well, obviously you're on a pure protein scenario. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have to go, still check in. That's going to be the big thing. Yeah. Because you're going to keep yourself accountable. You're going to see yourself going up if you're going up.
Right now, I weighed in this morning at 65.6, which is still 0.5 less than peak week weight.
That's awesome.
And we went out yesterday, and Max was having foods, and I was having small little bites and stuff, but I didn't have any meal. I had salmon.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Salmon and veg.
And salad, and that was it. And like usually I'd be like, give me like, I haven't even had breakfast yet, and that's my favourite thing, and that's your worst thing. You're always like, do not have breakfast, and I'm like, okay. And I was really actually thinking about, am I hungry? And I even said, I was like, oh, I might try and find like a salad somewhere. And I was like, well, I'm actually not even hungry, so what's the point having something to eat now? Because I can have something later. As much as I had the choice of being like, oh yeah, I could have like this burger and chips, or I could have whatever, why do I need it now? Or like, what's the point of having it, because it's not getting me closer to my goal? And I generally, and that sounds really silly, but that's like a big realization for me, and being like, okay, cool, like let's move forwards with things.
I think you need to stop beating yourself up so much about it, because I think, here's the thing, I want you to see, and if you post it, I want everyone to see this, that like, no matter how good you see people. Here's the problem too. There's a couple problems. So one is you're beating yourself up about something that everyone does.
Yeah.
You're just doing it at a high level. That's the difference. You think that every other girl's fucking around. All I do is talk about that on my podcast, and even my people.
Yeah.
Will be, 20% of them. I don't know. Something like that. Something. I tell them.
People do it, and I know people do it.
Everyone does.
I know people do it. Yeah.
I've done it. I used to eat after shows till I threw up.
Yeah.
I've done it twice, and then after that, it took me a few times to get the hang of it. It's taken you longer than some, and you've gotten to a higher level than most people who are doing it. But everyone does it. I would say most people have done it at least once or twice. Yeah. I mean, I don't know anyone in this building who hasn't done it. Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of high-level pros. Like, we all know a lot of high-level pros that, go out and eat and, we do, everyone gains body fat post-show. Like, everyone, whether or not it be at a slow pace or a faster pace or whatever, people don't share it. Some people share it, some people don't. But I think the realization is, for me, especially with the goals that I actually want to obtain, because even you said it to me before, like, getting on stage or before the Arnolds, you said, what do you actually want from competing? If you just want it for, staying relevant, growing a business and doing what you need to do, that's absolutely fine, like carrying what you're doing. If you want to win the Olympia and you want to do this and achieve greater than that, then you have to do X, Y, Z. And I think for me, that is a big thing that I need to overcome, if that makes sense. Instead of just being like, oh, I don't care, because I do, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I can have this burger, but no, because I want to achieve higher level goals. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, I think it's a big stepping stone, because I fucked up many a time post show, and I'm ready. I'm done with fucking up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm just done with it. So for me, I'm just like, I want to improve.
Yeah, no, I think it's good, and you can't beat yourself up about it, because it's a hard lesson to learn, and our sport it's unassumingly difficult. Yeah. People don't get how difficult it is. It's nonstop. There's only two sports like ours, but it takes everything out of you, and you got to understand that you're playing the sport when you're not in the gym. You're playing the sport when you're not on the stage. You're playing the sport every meal.
All the time.
Every meal, at the level that you're doing it at, right? So I'm glad that you realize that's the difference. The bridge of you getting to the ultra elite level is adherence in the off season. Yeah. It's simple as that. We've isolated the problem. This shows it 100%.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, these are girls I've beaten before. These are girls that your genetic structure is better than all of them.
So moving forwards in terms of like food and stuff, because obviously we pushed it hard for food and stuff, and like I'm being totally honest and real, like we pushed it low with food and high with cardio and stuff. Like I've been honest with that from the beginning. But moving forwards from that, in terms of, so we don't have too harsh of a reverse, what are we going to do?
So your cardio is already reduced a little more than 50%, which is a lot.
Yeah. So we were 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
2.5 hours the last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Then to 45 minutes now.
Yeah. The goal now is this. It already looks like your metabolism is speeding up from just getting a little bit more food, which is crazy,
Well, we can have a look at how I look and stuff in a second. I've got my bikini hairs and stuff as well, just so we can see.
Perfect.
I'm a little bit watery, I'm not going to lie, obviously, because my body's tired and stuff, but...
Flights, food eating.
Yeah.
So what we need to do in the off season is get your calories as high as possible without you gaining body fat. Okay, so whatever that limit is, as high as we possibly can without you gaining body fat. Now, and as long as the calories are not dieting the whole time. That's the thing. We can't be just... That's easy to do if you're dieting the whole time, and then when we go to prep, we're not going to get anywhere.
There's nothing to pull back.
Yeah, exactly. So the goal is going to be, cardio's already reduced quite a bit, so we're probably going to keep cardio here for
a little. I'm not too bothered with that, because I think movement is good in the off season and stuff as well, especially the amount I move anyway. Don't move a lot.
Yeah, and we could always switch it to steps in the off season too.
Yeah.
If we need to, you can walk around more or whatever. And then in the meantime, we have to bring your diet up. We have to get your body used to eating more calories, and the way that we're going to do that is through protein at first, because it's really hard for your body to store protein as fat. It's the hardest macro for you to store as fat. The easiest macro for you to store as fat is fat. So 98 out of 100 calories can be stored as fat. It takes 2% of the calories to actually for your body to actually store them as fat. So it's really, really easy. It's like it doesn't take much energy. But protein, it's in the low 70s. So low 70s out of 100 calories can be stored as fat through the conversion process. So in terms of getting your calories up through that, it makes the most sense, even though your protein's going to be higher than it should be. But for a temporary period, if we can get your calories, up, and your body's not storing fat, it's getting used to all these extra calories, well, then we pull back the protein and increase the carbs, and then we do it again. We keep toggling it. You keep toggling it. I have a feeling that you're going to stay pretty close to this weight because I think that you've been so beat up by this prep and metabolically you're probably a little shifted. And when we start increasing calories, I bet you're going to start ramping up a little bit. But obviously we couldn't try that during prep.
No.
We needed every single day to we couldn't test that theory. But that's what was happening when you had those carb days. You were like, you'd lean out. And so we started using them more frequently, but committing to that would be really difficult during a prep. It'd be like a big risk, Let me get out of here. Remember, your hands are in a fist, thumbs facing the tower.
This type of drive could push like Bikinis. Get yourself signed to have your own sneaker. I'm in the band, I'm pushing the meter. A legend like John for everyday people. I got the heart of a champion. I got the blood of a winner. I don't know how to be stagnant. I got way too much ambition. I keep on beating statistics. How would I be denied?
Add in my detail notes. I've done it 9 times now. What do I weigh now? What did we say I weighed?
65 point.
Yeah, but in pounds.
100. Do you want me to work it on my phone?
No, I've got it. Almost there. I can't remember the last time I did a scan. I think it might have actually been in my off season. So my waist is about 24.8 inches. My glute size is about 36.9. Thighs are around 22 inches. And then the rest doesn't really matter that much. But biceps 10 inches. Yeah, so this is what we're working with now, which is exciting. And we're just going to go and Adam's going to have a look at me, just how I'm looking at the moment, just so he can see what I'm looking like at this weight and being 3 days post-show and all that type of thing before we actually fully start the reverse. Okay, cool, let's go.
So what I'm curious about is your quads and overall legs. Okay, so I'm not going to look at these numbers before I tell you kind of standards for your height, okay? And we'll see where we're at. Okay, so standards for your height, okay, it's gonna be around 19.5 inches here, 20 on someone who's pretty muscular, okay? So let's see, so 21. Okay, so an inch. Here, 21 is kind of the standard for someone your height. That's pretty, again, a muscular, high-level bikini competitor. So 22. Here, standard for your height, between 15 to, this one varies a lot, 15 to 16, so, but generally 15 to 16. So, okay, so 16.4. So you're a half inch, 1 inch on the legs over the kind of standard. And this is just data collected from, bikini pros that have come in here that have been, scanned before. So arm-wise, someone your height and your build, about 10.3 inches on the arms. Okay, look at that. That's actually surprising that was going to be a little bit higher. Exactly, perfect. The waistline, this won't be accurate because you're obviously post-show now and obviously ate a little bit today. But that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, 24.8 I thought was not that bad at all.
No,
considering
it's very good.
Usually my lower back region and my digestion is the first thing to kind of go wrong post-show. And I feel pretty tight today. And I've eaten today already and obviously drunk and done cardio and stuff. So
that's great. That's a great especially for your height. For your height, that's really small.
I mean, my waist was, I think, I don't know. I stopped measuring peak week. I can't remember what it was, to be fair, because we were just sitting for Instagram. But I think it was around 20. Yeah, it was about 23. I remember from if you pull it tight, the thing it was definitely reaching under 23 and stuff. So
a lot of even top level bikini girls that people think their waistlines are crazy small are still high 22s. Even I think Ashley, when she gets to her smalls, is getting close to 22. So it's you're in that, you're definitely there, and you got the height and build. So you being 23.5 would be like Ashley being 22.5 type of thing, So it's just because the builds are different. But yeah, no, that's great. That's actually really good. So especially for now, I thought now because of the food and everything.
Yeah, it'd be probably would be higher, but it's not.
No, it's good.
Too bad.
Ratios are there. It's we know where it's at, you know. The legs are, it's just that's probably it right there, you know. Just a little bit tighter on the legs, you probably got it.
Yeah, I think if I was to keep my legs this size in my off season, so then when we do diet down, they get smaller.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that's what I think too.
So if they don't get bigger than this, I think that would be a win, because then they can get smaller in season.
Yeah, I agree.
So if they stay like this and we kind of keep them this size and like don't try and keep them obviously like gaining too much body fat and obviously mass and stuff within the off season, I think we could be good.
Yeah.
It looks like tiger bread. Did you guys have tiger bread? People tiger bread here? How can I describe it? Tiger bread.
I think that it just might not be called the
It's
same.
just normal bread. It's just normal bread, and it's just like it goes like it looks like tiger stripes. That's what it looks like tan-wise. I don't think I look too bad. I mean, it had like a few.
Yeah, I mean, you soften it up a little bit. It's just water, you know, water retention. You can see it even in your socks. You have water, you have sock lines from
Yeah.
water retention.
It'll be my boots that are. So I can feel it in my boots for sure. Other parts.
Your shape is crazy.
They're not terrible. I know it's only 3 days, but
Shape is crazy.
I think if we were to keep the size my legs are, you know, keep things just a little bit tighter, I think we should be okay.
You get a chance this year's Olympia to crack on that, make a name for yourself this year, you know? I mean, I really see you being able to get in the top 10. Considering the girls that were there, and the girls that you beat and where they placed and everything, I really do think you can do it. I do think that, you know, so.
We'll see. I just want to make sure, like, I'm just taking it step by step at the moment and just making sure I'm doing what needs to be done. So I'm happy. I just wanted to show, like, how I'm looking and stuff. Like, I still feel like good and stuff. Like, things feel tight. It's just the lower. It's always the lower that's holding us and stuff. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you came a long way in a very short time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always remember that's where you can reach if you need to. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now you know what you're capable of, at least for that, you know. So that's
Yeah.
good. That's a good thing. It's a good lesson for that. Good lesson for a lot of things this time.
Yeah.
That's what this was. You know?
And I'm excited to kind of move forwards from this and just get better from this, because that's all I want now. It's just to be better than before. Because I know I can do it, and I know I have a great structure. And like, I think a lot of the times I'm like afraid to say that I have a great structure, because I'm like, well, I don't want to seem cocky, or like I don't want to say that I feel like I'm confident with myself. But I'm like, well, why not? Why can't I say that I'm like happy with my shape or confident with my shape?
Yeah.
I actually spoke to Jen Dory about that before, and she was like, own your shit.
Yeah.
Like, own it, and just like, you know, yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy.
You got a really good structure. I think you have one of the better structures that there is out there right now. You structurally, you know. There's only a couple of girls that really have that really good. You have probably another in that structure, but didn't hit your conditioning 100%. You know,
yeah.
You know, it's been like, oh, just the off-season part of it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like all these like structures, like
Small things,
these,
yeah.
These girls that have those structures are like ready to pounce.
Yeah, it's just, and the thing is, I genuinely think this Olympia will be the most competitive there is, because already there's so many high-level girls that are, like, even like the pros, like high-level pros that haven't even been to the Olympia yet, or even, you know, cracked into that kind of like first call-out, top call-out kind of place, and even more pros that have just come into being pros, you know, like. It's just leveling up each year, and I think it's going to be a really exciting one to be part of this year.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. So
Yeah.
I can't wait. Right, now we're going to go for lunch. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon.